Good morning, I'm Gerry Mobbs, Clinical Psychologist. I'd like to share with you today some effective tools for managing a common problem, procrastination. Procrastination is when we avoid certain tasks, we put them off, we get a short-term relief, but then in the end often those tasks get bigger and bigger, and we experience that guilt and dread in the time that we're putting off, and experience a lot of emotional pain and have to go through a big rigmarole before we usually then eventually complete the tasks. So it's quite tiring, and there's a big cost to procrastination. So I want to share with you today some reasons why we procrastinate and some effective ways for stopping procrastination. First of all, just have a think about the things that you avoid. Think about the biggest or scariest things that you usually put off, and see if there's a theme in any of the things that you avoid. Is it about certain people, certain tasks, even certain places, or certain kinds of things that you have to do? And just see if you can notice yourself what the theme is there, or the reasons why you might be putting off those things. There's 6 quite common reasons why we avoid or put things off. Number 1 is if we have low confidence. So if we doubt our ability to be able to complete the task or do what's required, that usually raises our anxiety level and we're more prone to avoid. So for example, if I have to make a phone call and I think, I'm going to feel really anxious when I make that phone call, I'm more likely to avoid that. The second reason is low energy. If we feel like we have depleted energy, we just can't imagine ourselves being able to complete that task or even start on it. That's another reason for avoiding and procrastinating. The third reason is fear of failure or fear of disapproval. And this is quite a big one. It's related to our confidence, but particularly if we see ourselves failing, falling short of what we would like to be able to do, if we don't see ourselves having the skills, or if we see ourselves completing the task but disappointing someone, whether it's a work task and we think, I'm just not up to scratch with that, or a task even that a family or friend has asked us to do, but we're afraid they won't be happy with the outcome, we may avoid and procrastinate. The fourth reason that's common is the fear of the unknown or fear of uncertainty. If we're not quite sure of an outcome, we will usually put off that task. If it's new or daunting, we've never done it before, perhaps it's a task with new people. A good one is public speaking. That's a big fear of the unknown. How will people react to me? And often the mind can catastrophize and think the worst. So we may avoid preparing for our speech, putting it off till the very last minute. A fifth reason is pleasure seeking, or just difficulty tolerating uncomfortable feelings. So when we think about what we need to do and we feel like, I just really don't want to do that. I'd rather be at the beach. I'd rather be at home. I'd rather be doing some other task. If we think that task is going to be quite uncomfortable or out of our comfort zone, we may procrastinate and avoid. And one of the sixth reason is about need for control. And often doing new tasks, completing new things, it sometimes is an unknown, and perhaps we have to have others involved. And if we fear that we can't control that situation or the outcome in the exact way we would like, we may avoid that too. So have a think about those reasons and see if you can identify any of those in what you avoid. And that gives you a bit of a clue then on what you may need to work on. So it may be about building your self-confidence up. It may be about increasing your energy levels, or still just getting it done even if your energy is low. It may be about learning to tolerate uncomfortable feelings and telling yourself, this is really unpleasant, but it's not going to kill me. I can survive. I can do this. It may be about letting go of the need for control, learning to trust others, learning to trust in the process. So see if you can identify the theme, and that gives you a clue of what you might need to work on a deeper level. And usually when we start to want to change procrastination, it's really good to write a list of all the ways that procrastination is robbing you or costing you, or all of the disadvantages. Because the belief behind procrastination is, if I avoid this, I don't have to experience pain or difficulty. So it's a distorted belief, because in the short term that's true, but in the long term, usually you experience more pain, more difficulty, more anxiety. But those of us who procrastinate hold on to that belief. This is the better way to do it, to avoid. So write a list of all the ways that your procrastination actually costs you, actually ends up giving you more problems. And that's a good motivation to want to work on it. So I want to give you some tips now of behavioural things, of what to actually do. You've decided that you want to start procrastinating less, you really want to start to tackle this. These are some ways of getting going and taking action. The first one is called the worst first technique. So let's say you have a big daunting task. It's about saying to yourself, I'm just going to get in and do the hardest bit first, and then the rest will be easier after that. That's one way of approaching it. The second technique is called the just 5 minutes technique. And that's about saying to yourself, I'm just going to start. I'm just going to sit down and do this for 5 minutes. With procrastination, it's often that first move that's the hardest. We put it off. But most of the time, once we start actually doing the task and get a rhythm with it, it's never as bad as we think. So it's that just getting going, taking action. So the just 5 minutes task can work for that. Maybe you have a room that you need to organise, and every time you look in there you get so overwhelmed and think, oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. Just pick somewhere to start and just start for 5 minutes. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, see if you can do another 5 minutes. Do it 4 or 5 times if you need to. Just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Quite often we find though, when we start, we just get on a rhythm and we keep going with it. Another technique you can use that's a bit similar is about using momentum. So you've been putting off a task or a job. Start doing some other task or a job, but it's not procrastinating. You're only starting to do it for a limited period of time, just to get some rhythm and momentum, and then see if you can then move into the task that you have been avoiding. 2 other techniques are called prime time and prime place. So it's about planning for when you're going to do this task and planning to succeed. So think about the time of day when it's most likely that you will actually be able to do this. When your energy levels are higher, when there's less distractions, and with the prime place, where you're somewhere that you're forced to do this task. So obviously, let's say doing some study or academic work or computer sort of work, Some people will go to another place where there's no distraction, so they may go to their office, or they may go to the library, or they may go into their study and saying to themselves, right, I'm here to do this work for this period of time. Setting time limits is another one. So having a calendar or a diary is really good if you're prone to procrastination, and actually scheduling that task in as you would with your job or with your children or with tasks that just have to be done. Scheduling it in your diary for a particular time. So for this hour, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to start and I'm going to work on this for an hour. You can use a timer as well. And another technique that is linked to this is using reminders. So you put the alarm on your phone for that time. Because when the time comes around, the mind won't want to do it. Yeah, it'll throw up all those same excuses that it always does. Too tired, can't do it, too scared. And yeah, they're valid feelings, and you still have to get this done. So setting aside the time and forcing yourself to not do anything else for that time, that's another effective technique. Visualizing yourself completing the task is another one. Often when we're procrastinating, the tape that we're playing out in our mind is actually this catastrophic tape where we're paralyzed, or we don't complete the task, or we do something else. So sitting here and just breaking down the task with what's involved and seeing yourself starting, seeing yourself staying with it, and seeing yourself completing it, and imagining how it will feel when you get it done. That's really powerful. And really saying to yourself, I know I will feel better when I get this done. I know I will feel relieved, and then I'll actually get to relax. Using rewards is another really powerful technique. So you can do this on a daily level, even with quite small little rewards, and breaking things up. So for example, I'm going to work on this task for an hour and then I get to have a coffee break. I'm going to I'm going to devote my morning from 9 to 12 and then I'm going to meet a friend for lunch. Or I'm going to organise what I need to, or make these 3 phone calls, and then I'm going to have a walk. Really trying to break up your day so you're doing the hard stuff, then you're getting your nice little break. If it's a bigger task that you've been putting off, a bigger reward. So you may say, I'm going to work on this for today, and then I'm going to go out for dinner with a friend, or then I'm going to go to a movie, or I'm going to sit back and watch my favourite TV show. If you can put off the short-term relief, get the hard stuff done, and then actually get the reward, that's a really good feeling. What else? Just thinking if there's any other techniques. We've got the worst first, using momentum, prime time and prime place, visualizing yourself, using the time limits, using rewards. One more, around focusing. Often what happens for people who tend to procrastinate, even when they plan to do the task, they sit down or they make a start, whatever the task is, and the mind wanders off. The mind wanders off to something else. It's amazing what we can accomplish when we're procrastinating, but we accomplish other things that aren't what we need to do. So a focusing technique that's good is a mindfulness technique that I talk about in my other videos. So let's say it's computer work that you're sitting down to do, or to make a phone call. You sit down, then the mind wanders off. You say to yourself, stop, just come back to the present, right here. I'm not in my head. It's not time to think about those other things. It's not effective for me to be doing those other things. This is what I'm doing right now. And then use your senses to connect with the moment. You just say, right, where am I? I'm at my desk. What can I see? Talking out loud is quite useful sometimes. I can see the lamp. I can see the desk. slow your body down and just take 3 deep breaths. So just let yourself breathe in. And then on that out breath, just breathe out and release and let go. And let yourself breathe in again. And again on the out breath, breathe out and let go. And one more, breathing in. And on the out breath, breathing out and letting go. And then again, what's the thing in front of me right now? And you may need to do that a few times. You may start, and after a couple of minutes the mind goes off again. You say, come back, breathe, slow down. This is what I'm doing right now. I've worked with people a lot around procrastination, and when they're able to put these techniques into practice, they feel really good. They do break that cycle. They start to feel relief. They start to see that actually I can be effective. I can be productive. I can get this stuff done. And then the pleasure of actually being able to relax in. So when you've done it, it's your time. You can do whatever you want then without that feeling of dread or guilt. So I really encourage you to give these things a go and stick with it. Yeah, because even if you do it for a day or a week and then you fall back into that pattern, the mind usually wants to do this black or white thing and says, well, that didn't work, I'm just back in procrastination, I can never change it. Each time you do it, that's a step forward. So it's okay if you have a bad day or you fall back into it, you just start again. I wish you all the best with reducing procrastination and getting on with the things in your life that you actually want to do. You can find more about me at gerrymobbs.com.au, on my other YouTube clips, on Podomatic for podcasts, and on LinkedIn. Thanks very much.